Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Ramadan Mubarak, and we pray that you are all well. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. Welcome to Liberated Sisters, broadcasting live at Morris Media Studios. In today's show, happy 88th birthday to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Okay, I hear clapping. I don't understand what's going on in the studio. Happy birthday, Minister Farrakhan. Today's topic is domestic violence. We'll speak with Anissa Muhammad of An Essence Consulting. We will also highlight a recent ethnic media services briefing on domestic violence and the COVID-19 pandemic. We will also make a special announcement during the Farrakhan Factor. But first, the Justice Report. Really good today. I really love that song. Today's Farrakhan Factor. The Justice Report is featuring the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in terms of The Truth About Farrakhan. This cover story is written by Brother Demetric Muhammad of the NOI Research Group. And if you don't mind, if we can just keep that there while I speak about the brother's article and Minister Farrakhan, because again, today is the minister's 88th birthday. We thank Allah for the womb of Mother Samaya Muhammad, his mother, and we thank you, Minister Farrakhan, for all of your love, sacrifice, your unending, and your awe-inspiring dedication to the resurrection of humanity, the black man and woman in America, yes, but humanity. And oh my God, he's just such a great defender. And so, with the final call cover story by Brother Dimitri, the criterion standard of love and leadership, he reflects on the significance of Minister Farrakhan's 88th birth anniversary. I'll read a verse from the Holy Quran. Reflections on the significance of Minister Farrakhan's 88th birthday. Blessed is he who sent down the criterion based, pardon me, everyone, let me reel it back. Here we go. This is the Holy Quran. Al-Furqan, Surah 25, verse 1. Blessed is he who sent down the criterion upon his servant that he may be to the worlds a warner. Brother Demetric writes about, I'm just trying to get the story together. And we have some photos too that we can also show, but we're going to stay right here. Brother Demetric talks about how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a criterion. You know, on July 4th, he delivered a message called The Criterion, and in that, Minister Farrakhan shared divine guidance on the COVID-19 pandemic and issued a warning to blacks, Latinos, and indigenous people about taking the experimental COVID vaccines developed in the U.S. with its history of medical mistreatment and treachery against the darker people of the earth. He highlights in the article how at the age of 80, get this, 80, Minister Farrakhan led the FOI into the streets of Chicago to greet residents, help ease tensions in neighborhoods, and also encourage black people to strive and make their communities safe and decent places to live. This is a snippet of some of the great works of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in this article. You can either read this in its entirety at finalcalldigital.com, or you can go to finalcall.com and the link is there. It's right there and you can view that. He goes on about the historic work of the minister. Of course, many remember and point to the 1995 Million Man March, where there's so many. Oh God, I'm looking at Cuba. I want you to see the images as well. Those I did not pull, but they're in the final call. And so we say thank you, Brother Demetric, for this beautiful final call tribute regarding the truth about Minister Farrakhan, the criterion, and also why we will not stand for the lies or let anyone say anything disparaging about him without addressing it. So that is the final call cover story. I want to call attention to one other article, which is the COVID report, and thank you, Minister Farrakhan, for warning us and guiding us as we see so many damaging effects are being reported now about the COVID-19 experimental injections. And I will give that update, but if I'm not mistaken, something occurred with Pfizer regarding young children today, but I want to speak accurately. But in our story, Don't Let Them Vaccinate You, we feature the voice of student minister Dr. Anissa Muhammad. He is the former Minister of Health for the Nation of Islam, and also he is the founder of the Abundant Life Health Attainment Clinic in Washington, D.C., and that story talks about the different effects that people are experiencing, and Dr. Alim also points out what people can do to protect themselves. So the final call is going to continue to come with analysis about what's happening around this experimental shot. And look, the push for mandatory vaccine. Some people are saying that it's not mandatory. Well, but on the state level, local level, your schools, your jobs, people are being forced and coerced. People are being threatened. People are being made uncomfortable. And so we will be talking more about that. But we have covered that also to a degree, especially our attorney, the Nation of Islam's, pardon me, National General Council student minister as well, Arif Muhammad, but he is the Nation of Islam's General Council and a student minister under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in his own right. So that's the Justice Report, and I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad, and here's the Farrakhan Factor.
I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll fight you.
For my brothers, we can go to war.
Okay. Can we start the Farrakhan Factor theme song again? Thank you.
I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll fight you.
For my brothers, we can go to war.
It's because I really, really, really love that song. And Sister Felicia, I think we're going to need to play that whole song today. I might be getting out at 10:05, 11:05. But we're going to, highlight. Actually, it'd be good to highlight the minister's music. Because I really love that song. The brothers capture his spirit, but also, his fiery spirit, his spirit when he wants to really hone in on us and deal with us as well as the enemy, but also the love for us. So today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is celebrating the 250th birth anniversary of Ludwig van Beethoven with the world premiere of Minister Farrakhan's performance of the Beethoven Violin Concerto. So Minister Farrakhan, when he reached 80 years, I was there in Chicago when we were blessed as a nation he's a constant gift giver. We were blessed with his preview of his documentary, which is the basis, right, from the minister's music, and he treated us, those who could make it there, to a snippet, like a brief minute into the documentary, and then of course the minister's music is out. So ministersmusic.com is the website. Let's take a sneak preview of what's in store tonight. A gift from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I said that to say that 80 years of grace. That's the article in the Final Call newspaper. And it talks about when he turned 80, what he gave us then. He's always giving to us. Here's a sneak preview. Oh, wow. Beautiful logo. Thank you. That's tonight. And right now, actually, I want to bring in, or we're going to speak to Brother James Muhammad. Brother James Muhammad is the student first officer of Muhammad Mosque number 27. Brother James Muhammad is one of the leaders are heavy pushers with the push crew official. These brothers and these brothers, pardon me, go out with the Final Call newspaper. This is actually our Pumps on the Ground segment, which is a tribute to the FOI. So boots on the ground, will be hearing from them. I understand from Brother James that there's a gift for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that the FOI have been taken to the streets with, and I'll just make a quick hit about that until we get Brother James. Here we go. Oh, he's on the line. Let's let Brother James tell us all about it. Brother James, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Sister Charlene, Pumps on the Ground, Liberated Sisters. Giving a major shout out to you on this great Messiah Day. You know, the birth, of the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, the violinist extraordinaire, that will be performing today.
Pump
so,
it up, pump it up.
So, it's all good, Sister Charlene. It's a pleasure, to be on the line with you. The acknowledgement, of Los Angeles, Push Crew official, we still in the building. We still gonna make it happen. We bossed all the way up, for our leader. This Final Call issue, with 11,900 papers, representing, his birthday.
Wow.
On May 11th.
Brother James, praise be to Allah. So that is what, and I think I'm looking now, and you sent it. It was man. You've been giving me reports each week. When I saw that, that's the top cities in the Final Call. So you said 11,900 for the birthday of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We love that for, and thank you all for that. You're risking your lives every day. You always did. You always have. But in this COVID, to still be out, I think it's just a drink of water, right? We were told that angels would be on the street saying, go this way, go that way, in the destruction. That's not the quote, before y'all jump on me, right, Brother James? Before you go, tell us, what are the people saying out in the streets about the Final Call newspaper, especially some of the recent covers? And I can't wait to get your report from today's issue, but go ahead.
All praises due to Allah, Sister Charlene. We are getting a fantastic response here in Los Angeles and in the entire Western region. We're getting an excellent response. The Final Calls are pretty much just jumping out our hands. The people are in need, of the truth. And they know that they can receive this truth, from the Final Call newspaper. From cover to cover, our people is getting the truth. I mean, we're getting all types of nationalities. We're getting all genres of people that are receiving the Final Call, young, elderly people, middle-aged people. We even having babies when they walk in with their mothers, they reaching back, children that can barely talk. They reaching back, at the Final Call, trying to grab the Final Call from us. And then we have to tell their parents, is it okay? Can we give them a paper? And they be like, sure. So, you have the babies reaching for the Final Call now. In every hood we go to, the brothers are and the sisters are receiving the Final Call real well. And, they are taking, a great impact, to the instructions and the guidance from the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, that is coming, in the Final Call newspaper in this hour up under this pandemic.
Wow, praise be to Allah, Brother James. Thank you so much for that. I look forward to having you all back in studio for Boots on the Ground segment of Pumps on the Ground. And thank you for tributing, of course, the Honorable, let me slow down, I'm so excited, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I look forward to an update next week. Why don't you just give us an update each week, okay?
Absolutely.
On the
absolutely.
sales.
And big shout out to Sister Anissa Muhammad on domestic violence. Been my sister in the struggle. Day one, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, my sister.
I really love when Brother James comes on. You can ask him one question and he can go. But right now we want to share something, and thank you, Brother Abdul Qiyam Muhammad, for sharing this from, I think it's Beehive TV. This is Curtis Daniel. We're about to hear Curtis Daniel. He's the owner of Patchwork Studios, and he recalls when the minister came to the studio. So again, thank you, Brother Abdul Qiyam, and thank you also Beehive TV. Here's Curtis Daniel, Patchwork.
Being in there with Farrakhan, though, man, what kind of game did he lay on you?
A lot. And it was funny because most people know Antico Pizza's across the street, so Giovanni owned that place. And I remember Giovanni called me, "What the fuck is going on at the studio? Y'all got the Secret Service out there?" And so I walked outside, and it was black cars on 14th Street, on 10th Street, on Hemp Hill, all around the studio. And the funny thing is when we do Farrakhan, they come like 2 days ahead of time.
Yeah.
And they do a sweep of the studio and all this stuff. I'll tell you, I'm going to get back to him, but another funny story. So we in there, I ain't doing no work. I'm literally sitting shoulder to shoulder with him for 8-9 hours a day. And I'm going to tell you about some of the stuff he said. But I remember one time he was thirsty. And so we give everybody bottled water. Them niggas threw that water in the trash and brought out his own water. They don't trust nobody.
I don't blame
So,
him. I don't blame him.
Which is good. And, but, he was there, and he kind of got on me. He was telling me stories about Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And so if people don't know, he plays the violin.
Yeah.
He did an album, and we did a lot of the recording. So he got Snoop Dogg, Stephanie Mills, Rick Ross, all these rappers. He has a double CD out now. He did a big-ass booklet. I bought the booklet. It's like $125. So he plays the violin. So he in there.
With Rick Ross jamming.
So beautiful. It's, he knows his music. He used to play.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he was like, I kind of put it on the back burner and I just want to do it. So they did this album, and it's dope. And so anyway, he's in there, and I didn't have a kid at the time. And he was like, "Brother," he looked at, "you got to have multiple kids. We got all these people out here that ain't doing as well as you, that ain't as intelligent as you. You the one need to be bringing up these kids. You should have at least 3 or 4. The next time I see you, I want to talk about your kid." And, and so
Wow.
he came back. I had my daughter. But he just told a bunch of stories from like the 70s and 60s and stuff. And then it ain't even so much of when he talking to me, when he in the room.
Yeah.
And he's just talking. It's like a blessing, like any artist. Sometimes people just want to be a fly
On the wall.
I was a fly on his shoulder. And we literally, I'm not saying nobody was in between us. It was me and him sitting there, and then it was other people. Then I met his son and all the people, the FOI and all that stuff or whatever. And, it was just, you just in the presence of somebody that's bigger than whether it's music or entertainment and stuff like that, and you appreciate it. And I used to go to the mosque when I went to school at Michigan State, and I used to follow him and listen to Khalid and all that stuff, and they've always been a part of hip-hop. So it was just cool to be able to be in there, with it. And then I posted a picture, and he reposted it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got so many questions just involving that, but I just got to bring it back in. One, you watch the Million Man March, and then you see that man in your studio. Mm-hmm. What was that feeling like?
It's unbelievable. Like I said, it's certain things that, I've been places and you'd be like, I remember one time when we was we got stuck on 9/11. So when I told you we was in Bermuda and Jamaica, we was in Barbados, and our flight was coming back to the States on 9/11. And so they grounded our plane in Jamaica, and we got stuck there for a week. We was the first people, and so Air Jamaica comped everything. They let us stay in the room, and whatever. So we got stuck in Jamaica for like I was in my room, and then we was at breakfast. I left my luggage in the room, so everybody was ready to go to the airport. I went back, and the TV was on, and I seen some run into the tower. So I'm sitting there looking. So they sent the little cart, the golf cart, to come get me, and I'm like, nigga, they just blew up the tower. So we go down. And we going to check in, and one of the girls was in the reserve. She started crying, and then the second plane hit something. And so we ain't going home. We going to the U.S. Embassy. I said, look, I'm trying to get as close to home as possible, and I knew we connected in Jamaica. So it was about 12 of us. 4 people didn't want to go. Yeah. 1 girl was crying. I said, I'm getting on the goddamn plane. We get on the plane, get to Jamaica, and they like all flights are grounded. So we got stuck for 7 days. When we got back to Atlanta, people was kissing the ground. But anyway, when we was over in Jamaica, we went out. Yeah. And I remember, and it was like if out of 12 songs that played in a row, 7 of them we had worked on in the studio. And I remember I looked at Bob, I said, man, that shit is crazy. We some niggas from Carson, California, and this shit done went around the world. And that's when it'd be like you get perspective that this shit is going around the world. And we did that, you know what I mean? So it's a humbling experience. So to see him there, And to see some of these big giant artists, and you know, they have enough money and they have enough resources to go anywhere. And for them to consistently hear good things about us and trust us enough with their work speaks volumes. And so it's been hard for me. I remember when all the Versus stuff was going on, I'm competitive. So I'm in the background like, nigga, I'm about to pull me 20 records in case the studio want to battle me.
Yeah.
And so I had a problem where, because we didn't just do songs, we did albums. So I started thinking, I want to do pay respect to Atlanta. So the Outkast first album, what one song you gonna pick off ATL? That's hard.
Yeah.
But we did 3 or 4 or 5 Outkast albums. Then Tip's first album, what song you gonna pick? But we did 3 or 4. Jeezy's first album, pick one song. We did 4 or 5 albums. Ludacris, 4 or 5. Sierra, whole album.
Yeah.
So then I start saying like, okay, well, let me just pick 20 artists, but then I couldn't pick 20 songs. And then I'm like, but then that's disrespectful to Snoop, Jay-Z, the Pimp C, the big twisting them and all this stuff, and I just threw it away.
Yeah.
And so the first playlist we did was when Gucci and Jeezy did their verses. We put out a playlist on Spotify called Show the Work.
Yeah.
And I think it was 76 songs that Gucci and Jeezy, that wasn't even all of them, just going back and forth, Gucci, Jeezy, of all the songs that we did at the studio. And so then I thought about it, I said, you know what? I could do decades, the first 10 years, but nigga, you can't. Then I said, I can do by year, but like I told you, we doing 11 to 13 sessions 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for us to go back and talk about what we done because we worried about who y'all consider a superstar coming in today.
Yeah.
And so I tried to put we did a documentary that we gonna probably put out on your network.
Yes, sir.
And we try to tell a story, but it's challenging. It's 4 hours that we cut it down to try to give you guys a little bit of insight of some of the stuff that we've done.
Last Farrakhan question: were there any artists that came in there and mixed it up with them while you was in there, and what was that vibe like?
No, he already had the vocals.
Okay.
And so, like, you know, he played me the song with Snoop on it, and then he played the song with Stephanie Mills. He was adding his string parts to them. So the songs, they had been working on them for years. And so then he was going back in, doing his parts to them to kind of complete them. So there weren't any artists that came in the studio. It was just FOI.
My
Security.
God.
I really enjoyed that. Thank you, Brother Abdul Qiyam, again, Abdul Qiyam Muhammad, for posting it, and Beehive TV. And now we turn to a very serious topic that advocates and activists say is on the rise, this issue, and they've seen anecdotal or personal stories about this since COVID-19, the pandemic. 1 out of 4 women, these are statistics according to the England Journal of Medicine that were reported last year. 1 out of 4 women and 1 out of 10 men face abuse from an intimate partner or spouse. And Ethnic Media Services held a recent briefing with experts who discussed prevention and reconciliation programs that engage abusers as well as survivors, children in abusive relationships, households, and immigrant families. The topic of the briefing is combating rise in domestic violence. Can families heal? In the clip you're about to hear, Reverend Elise Moore Orbe, Executive Director of the California Partnership to End Domestic Violence, says that domestic violence is a cultural and a societal issue. It is not a personal issue. Let's take a listen.
Not a personal, individual issue. So if we see it as such, then we can stop thinking about, we can start thinking differently about then who do we call when we have a domestic violence incident? Who in the community, who should be prepared? Who is equipped really to work with people when there is an incident? Are the kind of questions I think that we could begin to ask. But also the most important question for me is, is how do we prevent that? If we realize, if we accept the fact that this is societal, this is cultural, these are norms that have been handed down to us, they're part of the constructs of our American society, then the question for me, the questions are about how do we change those constructs? How do we dismantle, deconstruct those constructs? How do we change the culture around the fact that um, American culture is centered on power and control? We worship power and control. We love, idolize, put on, we romanticize it in Hollywood, um, power and control. So how do we begin to deconstruct that kind of thinking? How can we get away from loving power and control? Because obviously, where there's power and control, then will always be those who don't have power and control. And in a society like America, where people of color, and I would say people who, I would say women, girls, and those who identify with the feminine energy are always the most vulnerable. And so that means that those groups will always be oppressed, and the way in which that oppression is maintained is by the threat of violence. So for instance, a good example is the other day when we had the verdict come down for George Floyd's case. The National Guard, the state of California Guard, was called in to be ready in case the verdict wasn't something that our community might not go for, might not like. So they were already saying we will have control with the threat of violence, with guns and tanks. And so how do we move away from that? Because our intimate relationships are just kind of a myopic example of what's happening in our broader society. And so the domestic violence field is a Band-Aid on, we're doing great work, but it's still a Band-Aid on what really needs to happen. We have to get to a place where we have to say, I hate to use these words, but patriarchy and hierarchy has no place in our culture. We talk about having a healthy masculinity. How about a healthy femininity as well? We need to be healthy individuals, healthy persons, healthy beings. We can't have healthy relationships until we as individuals become healthy. And so then healing is not just about survivors, healing is about everyone in the community. When we focus on how we heal and build whole, healthy communities, that's how we begin to prevent domestic violence. That's how we begin to prevent interpersonal violence. It's not the one-on-one. It's not marriage counseling. It's not teen dating counseling. It's how do we shift the paradigm? How do we change our mind about how we think about power control? When we stop worshiping that, when we stop seeing that as a glorified way to be, when we stop encouraging our children to be that, to seek for their adulthood, to have power and control, then we can begin to see a change in what happens in intimate relationships. And
thank you. She came with it, and I'm telling you, the person next to me is nodding in an affirmative way. Sister Anissa Muhammad, thank you so much. That was Reverend Elisa Moore Obey during Ethnic Media Services April 23rd briefing on combating domestic violence. Rise, Can People Heal? That's not the title. I'm going to give you the title correctly. Take two. What's going on with me today? Combating rise in domestic violence. Can families heal? And now we bring in Sister Anissa Muhammad of Essence Consulting to talk about this further. Sister Anissa, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, dear sister. And Ramadan Mubarak, how are you?
Ramadan Kareem, I'm very good.
Yes, you are.
They know every time.
Looking fabulous in that pink. Yes.
Oh, this is number 19. This is Taha. Actually, Mother Tainetta Muhammad's clothing line, Taha.
Yes,
2.0 expansion of the dress 19. And this is, you're wearing this lovely ensemble by whom?
Newell Apparel. This is a design by Mother Khadijah Muhammad. This is called the Empress Embellished.
Yeah.
Yes. fire. We totally rock.
I got to
right?
get that color. Thank you so much to the matriarchs of the Nation of Islam, to the mothers of the faithful, more
Yes.
appropriately, the mothers of the faithful for addressing us. And while we're at it, shout out to you, Queen Amina Muhammad in Leimert Park, and also Demitis. I won't even start going because then I got to make sure to say Belle de Couture.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. We have two things I already said that we'll be doing: the minister's music, and then also what y'all tell me in the Facebook thread because I'm making promises. Oh, and then also the sisters in the clothing line. So,
Yes,
Sister Anissa, back to the matter at hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it.
It's an honor.
Before I ask you to start out by giving your thoughts about what Reverend Moore Obey shared, what is In Essence Consulting? Tell
In
them.
Essence Consulting is an LLC that I started with the sole purpose of offering consultations from an organizational perspective and from an individual perspective in issues of health, issues of youth development, and most importantly, issues of domestic violence.
Thank you.
That's what it is.
Thank you. And when did you start it?
I think in August, actually. It became legitimate as a business in August of last year. So I'm still a baby.
Congratulations on
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
What was the inspiration?
A desire to serve our community. There is no question that our communities are broken. And I just want to do my part. I just want to do my part in being able to help individuals, but most importantly, in essence, is more about offering consultations on how corporate businesses, how different organizations, be they profit or nonprofit, on how to rethink what it is that they're doing. Because, for example, nothing that I do in an essence or for my nonprofit Sisters for Life is mainstream. Trying to go mainstream and stay there is why we're still in the condition that we're in. So we have to rethink what we do and most importantly, rethink how we do what we do in order to affect a change in ourselves and our people.
No, wait 1 second. Elaborate on mainstream.
Doing it the American way.
I understand. What way is that?
May I give an example?
I wish you would.
Okay, so when it comes to the situation of domestic violence, they have a mantra where you talk about the circle, or rather the wheel of power and control. It's valid. The different phases that you have in domestic violence, such as the honeymoon phase, and then the violence phase, and then the part that's like right in between the build up to the violent act. And then it's a cycle. And all of that is very, very true. But if that affected a change in the lives of the batterer and in the lives of the victim/survivor, then why does that the numbers keep increasing? So it's something that's missing. And it's that healing part that the Reverend or the Reverend talked
you're right.
about. It's the healing. In this society, unfortunately, they want to help the victim/batterer as much as they can. And they should. But you have to help the batterer too. You have to help the children too. The families in our communities don't really want to be torn apart, but something has to happen. You have to heal both sides of the equation for us to realize who we are as gods in the making. The dysfunction that exists in our families, especially how it affects the children, we have to stop today what we're doing, because we're rearing dysfunctional children and we're perpetuating it. I did one of my master's thesis on intergenerational domestic violence recidivism because it's been in existence from the annals of time. The mistreatment of women, the mistreatment and disrespect of children. It's not just America. That's something that's global, and it has been around since the annals of time. Adam and Eve was the first dysfunctional family. What did Cain and Abel witness that made them act the way that they did? It was ordained, yes, but what did they witness? So, as far as it relates to the issues of domestic violence, both sides, the victim and the batterer, have to take responsibility. And that's my mantra for my From Victim to Victor program. We have to take responsibility. Responsibility doesn't mean you have to point the blame at the person that's been beating you. Yes, that person needs to be resurrected mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and most importantly, spiritually. But they cannot walk around thinking that it's okay to beat on people because that's what I was conditioned to do. Neither can the victim and survivor continue on the track that they're on, because most victims go from one abuser to another. And it seems like it's nonstop. Part of that most of that has a lot to do with their own self-esteem, their own self-respect, and the lack of self-love that they have. So that when I say taking responsibility, that's what I mean. There's enough of us out here that should sit down at a table and really talk about the challenges and the barriers that we face doing the work that we do, and come to terms with what it is that we can do that's better, that's different, that can benefit our clients and our communities, because our communities are suffering. And this mainstream stuff, it's not working. We should get together and have a conversation and plan and develop something of our own that's different than what's in the mainstream. And it's enough of us out there, and we should not worry about who's going to get credit, who's going to get funding. We can fund our own thing because we're doing God's work. And by doing that, we don't have to worry about money because He got us, right?
All day. Thank you. What a beautiful response, and it's so rich what you're sharing in it. One of the things I want to follow up on, you mentioned a little bit about, and I want to ask about it as a solution. Speak more about the batterer, if you will, and do you think that they're overlooked on purpose? What are the reasons? I don't want that to be the question. I want to say it this way. What are the reasons you think that batterers, and I'm actually asking mainly about men specifically right now. I want to ask about men. Do you think there's enough healing? Well, you already said that the batterers need to be helped, but do you think that there's a specific reason why male batterers are overlooked in terms of dialogue about healing? You know, mostly we tend to hear about programs that help women and children, and God, for God's sake, we need those, and I get that. You know, liberated sisters all day long. You know, but the woman is so abused, so misused. But what about stopping the cycle with the male? So my long run question is, what type of focus do you think there should be on the male to help stop this?
I think a revamping, first of all, no, let me back up. A change in the policy.
Which policy?
The law enforcement agencies, the DA's office, and different things of that nature. And I say that because the batterer is arrested, and if he has a record, then you got that 3 strikes law thing that's coming out of it, where all of these different things, the culture of how we are in the Black and Latino communities have to change. I mean, your face is sitting out like this. You got bruises on your neck. You'd have been stabbed, maybe shot, maybe cut, but I don't want to call the police because the white man always trying to lock brothers up. After what you just done, he should be locked up. I'm sorry.
Ear hanging out, all this.
I'm sorry. But at the same time, you can't coddle the female and put her in a shelter and give her counseling and all of this assistance, not saying that she doesn't deserve it, because she does, and then give the batterer a 52-week program that really probably does not address their needs. Now, I know one of our brothers in our ranks, Brother Manuel Ali. I'm going to give you a shout out.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Manuel.
Oh, praises be to Allah.
Yes.
He has the certification for batterers intervention. So he has the power, the wisdom, the knowledge, and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to plan and develop a different type of a program that he thinks might be a better fit for the batterer. Because a lot of times, from what I understand in this field, the batterers may not even complete the 52-week program. And even if they do, that's just because I either go through this program and finish it or I'm going to get locked up. So the mentality that the Reverend talked about is real. It's power and control. You either do this program or you going to jail. But that's not helping him to heal. See, batterers don't come up out of a garden or by way of osmosis. In this society, it's everybody's reared on violence. They glorify violence, just like she said. And in the movies that black people are in, for the most part, if it's black men are always portrayed as beasts, as drug dealers, as those that have no control whatsoever. And because it's glorified in the media, glorified in the movies, and glorified even in rap, then that's how they think they're supposed to act. Just like women conduct themselves in a manner that this society has conditioned us to act. So we can't control what the policies are. We can go to the table, but we also have to understand that the lawmakers that have the quote unquote power to change the reality of the policies are old white men. Do they really have our best interest at heart? Or do they not? For example, one of the laws that I find is utterly ridiculous, but it wasn't brought to light and they didn't really think about changing it until the Nicole Brown Simpson case came up. They already have a law on the books for when you're beaten. It's called felonious assault, assault with a deadly weapon. It's called so many different things that are all felony laws, but all of a sudden, some of those things, they have so many stipulations to them, and some of them are even mic'd down as misdemeanors. So just because this part is not added to it, then it's now a misdemeanor and you don't get a whole lot of time. I just caused somebody to die, and it's like so many stipulations, and you're only adding on 4 years because a child's life has been taken, in addition to you beating somebody almost to death. That's ridiculous. I have known cases where the batterers intentionally cut themselves or bruise themselves up to make it look like it was the female who did it because he's trying to get back at her. That's a sickness in our minds. Wow. So we just can't give the batterers a 52-week program to complete. We have to get to the core of what's causing that man's pain.
Right. I'm glad you said that. As you continue, I'm glad you said that because
yes,
I want to denote male batter, female batter, if we could. Because I think it feeds. It doesn't feed, but the norm or the stereotype or the reality as well is that by and large, and even the perception that men are more abusive. They're the batterers. Well, that's what I said.
Numerically and statistically speaking, the majority of the batterers are men.
That's right. But I don't have the numbers here, but also because I know that we're in a time today where language and
being considerate
specifics
of the LGBTQ community.
No, I'm not worried.
I just wanted to ask.
No, I'm not talking about them, and I'm not. No, I'm not speaking about that. I'm saying, it's very real that, and I know it, but I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I would like to give that, but it's real and it's true that men are by and large the batterers. But when we say that, then I feel that I perpetuate that, you know, because it can. What I'm saying is, it's not just the black male or the male. We didn't say black, but it's not just the male. There are females
Of course,
cutting
there
off
are.
for men right now, and one thing, sisters, and I don't want y'all to get mad at me, but we have to address us. One thing that we hear and we often say sometimes as women, you should not, don't you, no man should hit you. Men shouldn't hit women. But there's a real problem of women hitting men, girls hitting men, and feeling that they can do that, and I'm hands off. You can't and better not touch me, but you swinging like
I've seen that.
Tarzan
I've seen that.
on the man.
And there's no excuse for that either, dear sister.
Yeah, and you get it. So I'm not, you know, I'm just conscious. I just heard something. I don't even think it took a whole lot for me to go down there, but that's just what I do. But y'all know me, I just go down there. But what I'm saying is, as I keep hearing us say the batterer, I just wanted to make it specific that we're talking about at males with the domestic violence, because that's what I asked the question about
Yes,
too.
you
And
did.
thank you. I asked about the men.
Okay, dear sister, thank you so much for bringing that up, because that is an excellent point and is very significant, because in the line of work that I'm in, I have actually seen females antagonize men, push their buttons intentionally to get a rise out of them. That's a sickness.
That's dangerous.
It is. And after he calls her out of her name or slaps her around a little bit, then she seems to be satisfied.
Oh,
That's a sickness.
Yeah. I understand.
I have witnessed women fabricate things and then call the police and say, he slapped me. But one thing that has come out of that is that law enforcement agencies are taking these things under consideration and are being trained. And they have ride-alongs here in the city of Los Angeles. It's called the DART team, to help them to understand and give them an outside view on who's lying and who's not. Because you can tell. You can tell who's lying. You can tell who hit who.
How can you tell? Tell us. How can you tell?
It's not.
I'm just messing
I'm
up.
not going to say that.
I got you.
Because that's like disclosing a secret in a sense.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
But it's kind of like in the Quran where Joseph was accused by the king's wife.
Ooh, and he said, "Look at his shirt is torn
And
in
he
the back."
exactly.
Go ahead.
If
you
his
say it.
shirt is rent in the front, then he's lying.
Right.
And if it was rent in the back, then he tells the truth.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of like that. It's a lot of different factors that's involved with that. It's kind of like, when your child is lying, right?
Yep.
Because you studied him, you know that child, you read him up. So when you're in this line of work, then you can pretty much tell when you got the two together,
Yeah.
who's lying and who's telling the truth and who's the most likely person. Because there was a time where they were, especially in the 80s, during the height of the crack epidemic, they were arresting a lot of brothers who were falsely accused
Yeah.
of battering and beating women up when they weren't. And he's trying to figure out, but I just gave you the rent money. What did you do? She smoked it up. So she's antagonizing him so that he can hit her, so she can get him out of her face because she just spent up the rent money.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of
I
crazy
understand it.
stuff that be out there, sis. You just don't know. But when you're talking about
Wow.
batterers, women, whether you are male or female, a batterer is a batterer, and it's a sickness.
Thank you. As you continue, thank you for saying that. And
It doesn't matter.
yeah, thank you. And the reason I also that came to my mind as you were speaking is because I've just been seeing these stories of men exonerated on false rape accusation charges and different things. So I just wanted to kind of put some clarity to when and who we're talking about. But I'm here, I'm learning, period. You know, you're the expert, and I want you to tell us, you know, this comes to mind from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Okay.
From the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And happy birthday, Minister Farrakhan, and we love you. There is no such thing as a no good woman. Every no good woman was made that way by a no good man. That is actually the preface to the question that I asked about denoting the male batterer, the female batterer, because at the end of the day, but that came to my spirit as further clarification just now of what I'm trying to say, because we're in an era of counsel the man, of course, Black Girl Magic, all of these different hashtags and these different campaigns and these different things. But the Black woman is a God and has been a God and a co-creator with the God from the beginning before anybody was on the planet, you know, including the male. Because the teachings are that, hey, he wanted something to comfort himself and to see himself, actually. And she's the co-creator. So as you hear me, sisters, I don't want you to think that Liberated Sisters is wavering in some way, but, you know, I'm just going to, in the language of meaning, keep it real, that we as women have work to do, and that is why we have the MGT class, the Muslim Girls Training General Civilization class. You know, this is why we have things like Saving Our Girls, which is the webcast that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan allowed us under our student national captain, Sister Naima Muhammad, to open to the entire world, because we have work that is required on us, and we have an incubator, we have a womb to do it in, and where we have no interference by the man. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the head of our class, is the only man permitted in our class as the head. And Anissa, bear me witness, are we not safe and protected in that class?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Oh,
we are.
Allah.
Allahu Akbar.
It is for everyone. Well, oh, my God. Look.
What did the messenger teach us?
I'm excited now.
That 75% of the work
It's
is with the woman, not on the woman.
With the
so,
woman.
dear sisters, who, if you have been or are still being affected in some kind of way by someone that has caused you physical, psychological, emotional, financial, neglectful harm, please know that this is the day of the resurrection of the dead. And there is a healing out here for you. We're taught that if we get ourselves right, no man can penetrate that circle of fire, which is the spirit of Almighty God, Allah himself. So if you work towards getting your own mind and your own heart, love yourself, know your value, know who you are and whose you are, then I can guarantee you going through things like understanding our study guides of overcoming difficulty, the struggle for balance, my intimate relationship with Rabbil Alameen, which means who is God, having my own relationship with God and knowing who I am in relationship to the Creator, that can absolutely heal you. I can guarantee you looking at a woman that was abused for 20 years, but I walked out of there only by the grace of Almighty God Allah. And it was those study guides that helped me to heal and helped me and forced me to look at me and my own deficits. I have to take responsibility. So I don't harbor any ill will. How can I blame him? Because it could never have happened if I had not allowed it. And that's something, when I say taking responsibility, that's from the perspective that you have to come from, because a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And as long as we will not allow another abuser in my atmosphere, eventually they're going to either get tired or get gone. But that can only happen if you empower yourself.
Come on, Sister Anissa, look, I had to thank you for that. And we're Muslim women. We're Muslim
Yes.
followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the guidance, direction, the voice, the word, the arm,
Yes.
the comforting
Yes.
spirit, the defense of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But make no mistake about it, this is for you. And it's not for us and not you. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter what faith, religion you are, whatever your denomination, if you don't even believe there's a God, but you just want truth in your life and you want to know that you are worthy. You are not what whoever the they is in your life, whoever they are, that as she said, is doing those things or you're feeling that way. There's a role and a responsibility, but there's information, there's knowledge, there's truth. And the first of it starts with who is God and who is Satan. And once I got that, I was like, oh, okay. But Sister Anissa talked about a personal responsibility as well. But we have help, because she will bear me witness. Once you find out that, oh, I'm the victim. Okay, victim. Oh, my responsibility level. I want to be careful because, people have to be ready to hear what you're
Yes.
saying. So I want to be careful and not go too high into that. But look, there's help for you. There's a place where you can go. You can call someone. It's a pandemic right now, but if you want to just know more about this truth, we talked about the truth about Minister Farrakhan. I invite you to read the article, finalcall.com, and then find out about the truth of the women who follow Farrakhan. Don't believe the lies about Farrakhan, because if he were what they, the enemy of God and himself and us, say he is, why are so many black women, let's just go with that, indigenous women, and even women from different walks, we just don't know them? Why are we with him? Why are so many people following him? What is it about Farrakhan? The bigger question is this. Not even necessarily why we're with him, because scriptures say we're going to go to Jesus, but why is he being shut out? You heard Brother Curtis Patchwork, Daniel Curtis of Patchwork Studios, talk about the effect. So don't believe the hype about the minister. I want to play a clip for you just to kind of talk a little, let's lift it up a little bit. And we're going to come back with Sister Anissa and give some more solutions. And we're going to get out. The time is, we're almost ready to go. But just thank you, Sister Anissa, for talking about this and talking about the male, the female, the children, and what the impact is. And I really didn't sincerely mean to jump into your stride but when I heard the word batterer, it just kept coming to me to say that. And thank you for receiving that and also going deeper into what you're saying. And I got to ask you a question when we're playing this clip. We might have a special announcement in a minute when we come back, but let's see. This is Farrakhan Save Our Girls MGT Vanguard trailer. We're playing this so that you can also click on where to go to find out more. Like, for instance, I have a beautiful sister in the community. She's coordinates a major organization of black women, professional and otherwise. They're doing great things. And we dialogue about some of the things that we in the nation, the women in the nation of Islam, the women and girls learn. And she hasn't moved off of her belief or position. So we have and we share, but we have something that can help you be a better whomever you say you are and want to be. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is to help in the resurrection. Okay, let's play it, Sister Felicia. Thank you.
Love
I
it.
love it.
Love it.
What a beautiful promo. That was in 2015, but it's online. It's at NOI.org. It's also YouTube, and you can enjoy that. Also, before we get the closing remarks from Sister Anissa, I want to invite you to Elevated Places, where student minister Ava Muhammad, Dr. Ava Muhammad, who is the minister's national spokesperson, continues to uplift the woman and provide guidance and information. But NOI.org for the webcast, Elevated Places, and YouTube for Saving Our Girls. Sister Anissa.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would like for you to come back and do a special on domestic violence, focusing on solutions, if you will.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And we'll have her bring some experts along with her, whether by video or phone, right?
Oh,
We'll
praise
plan
be
that.
to Allah.
But
Yes,
your
ma'am.
closing remark, and let's get out of here.
Yes, ma'am. I know that one of the greatest contributing factors to dysfunctional relationships, especially when it comes to the quote unquote laying on of hands, in addition to us being out of the correct and right state of mind, alcohol, drugs, and the lack of money and the seemingly lack of power in the household are the major contributing factors to abuse. We have to remember that for most people that have been in abusive relationships, you was probably intoxicated when you met them.
Hello.
I mean, that sounds kind of comical, and in a sense it is, but it's a reality in our community. For the original woman, we have to really work together and get together to end this scourge of violence in our communities. We have to learn how to properly take care of that man and our children, but most importantly, ourselves.
First and foremost.
Ourselves. And and self-care is not about going out here spending money. Self-care is...
I beg your pardon. Felicia, you hear this? I beg your pardon.
Stop it. Stop
Oh,
it.
let me not get too close.
No.
6 feet, 6 feet.
No, I understand, because it's kind of like, what did my daughter call it the other day? Retail therapy. That's retail therapy. That's not actually taking care of yourself.
Yeah, that's just spending money. That's
just spending money.
Making them
and it make you feel good. It's like a drug.
Yeah. it's not
I'm going
the
to
solution.
spend this money on whatever I'm spending it on. And then once you wash that skirt or whatever one time, it has lost its luster.
When you walk out of the store.
It's lost its luster. The real value is in yourself. The real investment is in you. And we have to stop depending upon a system that was not constructed to serve us, to benefit us in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And we need to get our minds and our spirits right so that we can rise up and take our rightful place in society and civilization and build a community of peace. It starts within and then it spreads.
Thank you so much, beautiful sister. That's our show for today. I just want to read a few things, and then I'm running out of here. We are going to thank you, Sister Felicia, too. Sister Beatrice BTX Keaton says, as an MGT, we have justification for staying in an abusive relationship. Master Fard Muhammad promised us freedom, justice, and equality.
Yes, he did.
Getting punched in the face, kicked, and in verbal abuse is not freedom, justice, and equality. You are denying yourself in what you say you believe. Brother Michael Muhammad said, yes, ma'am, you have a good husband and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, Brother Larry. Yes, he's talking to Sister Lisa. Yes, you do. Brother Michael J. Muhammad. Yes.
All praises be
and then
to
we have
Allah.
some more. Thank you. So that's our show for today. Sister Anissa will be back. This is just an announcement of the work on this. This is, we have a lot to do. So I really appreciate you all. Thank you, everyone who contributed.
My
Oh,
email?
please. I'm sorry. I forgot.
sorry.
Thank you.
If you would
Please
like
do.
for me to contact me, you can reach me at anessconsult@gmail.com. That is ANESSCONSULT@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
And we'll put it in the thread. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Felicia, the Poetess Morris. Again, Sister Anissa Muhammad. Thank you, Brother Abdul Qiyam. Also, Big High TV. And thank you for tuning in and commenting. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad saying happy birthday. Honorable
to
Minister
Mr.
Louis
Louis
Farrakhan.
Farrakhan,
We
yes.
could never thank Allah enough. If it was not for you, we would not be here. That is not a slogan. That's an actual fact. Okay, the man rebuilt the nation on his own. Okay, got it. So, this should get me in trouble in here.
He did build
I'm Sister Charlene
broken
Muhammad
women. Yes.
saying if it's impacting our community or can uplift us as a people, let's talk about it. Peace.
I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you I'll fight you.
For my brothers.